Hello, everyone. Well, it's great to be with you, beaming to you from across the Pacific in Australia. You know, for Americans visiting here, superficially, our cities don't look much different to yours. Strip malls, traffic, skyscrapers. We drive on the left-hand side of the road, but generally, suburban Australia and North America are similar worlds. But get out of town here. For the moment you're in nature, it gets very different. There's no more squirrel, raccoon, or bear. Instead, you've got wombat, koala, and platypus. Redwoods or maple trees, they're swapped out for tree ferns and red gum. It even sounds different. There's different bird song. The wind rushes through different leaves. There's a depth of spirit in nature that our urban lives don't have. Now, of course, human culture has profound beauty and range far beyond just Oklahoma and Melbourne. But for all that is humankind, all our achievements and creativity, nature is just so much bigger. We're a part of nature, after all, a very impactful chapter in a story of billions of years. But we're changing everything. So I wanted to draw a map that kind of focused on the non-human world, on nature, on wildlife, on physical geography. It's my take on a physical world map, drawn with color pencil and pen. Its working title is Wild World. Now, I started last year, and to date, I've drawn all continents except Antarctica, and have recently started the ocean. So today we're going to take a very condensed world tour, and as we do, explore what this map might be about. But first, the origins. So I started this in the depths of a Melbourne lockdown last year, and it's certainly inspired by the pandemic in some ways. A love letter to a world that we miss. But I've had something like this in mind for years. This is a map I drew when I was about 15 or so. Here, the animals themselves reveal Earth through their negative space. I want to revisit this idea sometime. And it actually goes back even further. This is from when I was, I don't know, 6 or 7. It's a native bird map of my home country, Aotearoa, New Zealand, with a very sketchy looking whale off the North Island there. And then recently, the world maps by Tom Patterson really caught my eye. I think the Equal Earth physical map is just stunning. I love the simplicity, the flow of the labels, and I liked seeing no country borders at all, allowing you to focus on physical geography. I imagined my own physical world map, but with landscapes, vegetation, and wildlife. An animal map that would be a, decent reference map for world geography. And given that animals are so good at evoking place, think tiger in India, kangaroo in Australia, that's powerful subject matter from which to evoke that sense of place. So I like to bake the illustrations into the geography, so everything flows. That snow leopard is wandering through the mountains, not stamped on top. Make the map and the illustration one. So I went with the natural Earth for the projection, centered on 11 degrees east rather than the prime meridian. And I really love this projection. And I've just got to give a massive thanks to Tom for his generous time and advice, helping me decide, and for making such beautiful maps. So thank you, Tom. Now, the map is about a meter wide. It's half a meter tall. I printed the projection out in that size with natural Earth data and then stapled it to the back of the drawing paper. Then using a light pad, I could trace all the basics, coastlines, rivers, topography. And anytime I need, I can go back to the light pad. So now it was time to draw. And I began with a continent I was somewhat familiar with after my last map, North America. And there's a lot happening here. So I started up in Alaska, and there's a brown bear with a mouthful of salmon. You can see Denali towering over other peaks, along with raven, wolf, caribou, spirit bear. Down in the States, there's bison, black bear, and rattlesnake. There's a scissor-tailed flycatcher around Oklahoma, and a number of specific mountains are drawn, from Grand Teton to Mount Katahdin, along with the Delicate Arch, the Grand Canyon, Monument Valley. Now, I got to say, I started the map here. It doesn't have as many animals as the rest of the map. I'll be going back and adding a few things to North America at the end. Fauna, flora. It's a little sparse in comparison. I just thought I'd let you know. Now, looking below to Mexico, there are some of the great volcanoes like Orizaba, third highest in North America. Animals like Gila monster, tarantula, coyote, scorpion, monarch butterfly. A quetzal flies over Guatemalan volcanoes, and a Baird's tapir looks towards South America. South America. Oh man, from the spine of the Andes, the Amazon River, Pampas to Patagonia. As soon as I began South America, I knew that this map was going to take a while. So in the north, we've got cotton-top tamarin, poison frogs, ocelot, the tepuis, the massive tabletop mountains of the Guiana Highlands, there with Angel Falls, the tallest waterfall on Earth, cascading off. And then I got to the Amazon rainforest, the most biodiverse place on Earth. And how can you ever choose what animals to draw? Well, my 3 basic rules for animal selection are these: only wild, native, and extant, not extinct. So no Tasmanian tiger, no dodo, unfortunately. Now, these rules are guidelines. They can be bent slightly. Not every animal fits neatly into this. But beyond that, I just try to take a general look across the animal kingdom and see what stands out. But in the Amazon, I mean, there are thousands of options. Some are easy choices: macaw, anaconda, spider monkey, harpy eagle. But then there are the weird and wonderful, like the bald wakari, a shaggy monkey with a bright red head. The waters of the Amazon River are full of life, and I barely scratch the surface. There's black caiman, piranha, and the boto, the pink river dolphin. We will jump further south now to the tallest mountain in South America, Aconcagua, almost 23,000 feet, the highest peak on Earth outside of Asia. It's right above the guanaco there, the wild llama, and just to the south is a monkey puzzle tree. There's rhea, pampas fox, and a pink fairy armadillo, which is one of the strangest animals I'd never heard of. And of course, Andean condor, soaring to heights of 21,000 feet, almost the height of South America. Jumping ahead, next up was Europe, from moose and bear in Scandinavia to Iberian lynx and Italian wolf. The European bison, the wisent, is in its stronghold in Poland. Then further south, an ibex looks out from the Alps next to the Matterhorn and Edelweiss flowers. A wolf sits upon Rome, according to legend, founded by Romulus and Remus, 2 brothers raised, suckling a mother wolf. Mount Vesuvius is just by her tail. And across to Greece is the owl of Athena, the little owl, standing on Athens. So when choosing animals, culture is a consideration. I mean, animals have been used as symbols around the world more than perhaps anything else. Right? But too much adherence to symbols can run against the non-anthropocentric themes of the map. But then, so does every geographic label. Pyrenees, Great Britain, that whole layer is human. The mountains don't care what we call them. But still, there is a limit to cultural symbols. So before my rules with choosing animals were properly set, I drew a rooster in France and a bull in Spain, which are both, of course, very iconic. But as I kept going, they really bugged me. They didn't fit. They're not truly wild animals. Now, there are feral bulls and roosters, but they've all got domestic origins. And also, channeling bullfighting just didn't seem to match the tone of the map at all. But I did see something in the bull. It made me think of the aurochs, the great wild ancestors of domestic cattle that once roamed Europe. And they were big in the culture and ecosystems in Europe until their extinction in the 1600s. I remembered the beautiful Paleolithic paintings in the caves of Lascaux, France, with wild horses, deer, and of course, the aurochs. But no, they can roam a map that includes extinct animals. I picked up the eraser and changed the rooster into a red kite and the bull into a Cantabrian brown bear. Europe rewilded. So next up was a continent I'd been anticipating from the start, Africa. And what can I even say here? I mean, in a map about animals, I just spent weeks getting through the Sahara, the world's largest hot desert, It stretches thousands of kilometers from the Mediterranean to the Sahel. Sand seas known as ergs stretch to infinity, and between them, mountains like the Tibesti and the Ayer are oases of wildlife. Animals include the desert crocodile, Saharan cheetah, fennec fox, sand cat, scimitar oryx, silver ant, the fastest ant in the world. Now to East Africa, where there's Somali ostrich, Ethiopian wolf, and the amazing gelada, the bleeding heart monkey, relative of the baboon. It's in the highlands there beneath Ras Dashen, highest peak in Ethiopia. The Great Rift Valley carves past the Simeon Mountains, past Mount Kenya, the Serengeti, and above Umbrella Thorn is Kilimanjaro, highest mountain in Africa, with giraffe, blue wildebeest, and lion. A mountain gorilla stands at the Virunga volcanoes, while deep in the Congo are bonobo and okapi. On to southern Africa with just so many amazing animals. I mean, these are the tip of the iceberg. Zebra, hippo, buffalo, hyena, Earth's largest terrestrial animal, the African bush elephant. From red dunes in the Namib Desert to the mountains of South Africa, where there you'll see cheetah, springbok, blue crane, and white rhino. So drawing Africa was a huge journey all by itself. It took months. And once I completed it, I was onto something even bigger. Asia. The sheer scale and diversity here is mind-boggling. I mean, all of the world's highest mountains crisscross through the middle. It spans from the Arabian desert to Siberia to the jungles of Borneo. And the animals are incredible. So I could do 5 hours just on Asia alone. A 20-minute world tour is tough. But let's take a look at the mountains. So this changed the way I draw mountains forever. I mean, the Pamirs, Tian Shan, Karakoram, Himalayas. These are the highest mountains on Earth. And it was intense drawing animals amongst this kind of geography. Now, some mountain ranges are made up entirely of major peaks. Often you draw some stock mountains in a map. Not every peak in a range is a specific peak from a photo. But in the Karakoram, in the Himalayas, no way. That's game time. From Machu Picchu to Dhaulagiri, K2 to Everest, towering above all as Earth's highest point. India has amazing wildlife. There's the gharial, the crocodilian with a long, narrow snout, sacred to the Ganges. Bengal tiger, cobra, sloth bear, rhino, elephant. The very last of the Asiatic lions are in Gujarat. They once roamed all the way to Greece, but not anymore. To the far east now, which is home of the Siberian tiger, raccoon dog, Amur leopard. Japan has the Blakiston's fish owl, the largest owl on Earth, sacred to the indigenous Ainu of Hokkaido. And there's a Japanese macaque just above Mount Fuji with pink cherry blossoms drifting out to sea. In Korea, there's a goshawk and a Korean magpie, the national birds of North and South Korea. Now, I love that this map has no borders, that the world can be viewed flowing as one, as it does from high above. A landmass does not appear carved up and color-coded. Now, political world maps are essential. They can be beautiful, but their dominance as the preferred world map or globe sort of flavors the way we imagine the world. That is, by its nations rather than its nature. Borders are human inventions. Animals don't know what they are, even if they may be greatly impacted by them. So in this map, the Korean peninsula is unified, but I wanted to still hint at that divide with these very different birds. Now, down to Southeast Asia, we'll immediately notice the ocean. So I just started it. I decided to start in the Indo-Pacific and Australia, where I'm a bit more familiar with the sea creatures. So here's a sample of the sea that is now sweeping the map. I'm drawing its bathymetry, filling it with all kinds of marine life. And as the majority of Earth's surface is ocean, looks like I'll be drawing Wild World deep into next year. So one day I will learn to draw a small map, but not yet. In the meantime, I might release some continents as limited prints, as I finish the ocean around them. So first up is going to be Australia. Speaking of Australia, let's go there. This is a place like nowhere else. By waterfalls at Kakadu is a saltwater crocodile. A red kangaroo hops past Uluru. A cassowary is in the wet tropics of Queensland. a hairy-nosed wombat on the Nullarbor, from cuddly koala to the world's most venomous snakes. Now, I've been lucky enough to call Australia home for 8 years now, and its nature has filled me with wonder. We'll have a quick look at my neck of the woods in the southeast. We've got kookaburra, platypus, yellow-footed rock wallaby in the Flinders Ranges. At Melbourne, there's a grey-headed flying fox. Thousands of them live just a short walk from here at a colony on the Yarra River. And the eastern brown snake, the second most venomous land snake on Earth. I couldn't even draw some of the spiders here, honestly. Just looking at photos of them is too much. In the Alps, a lyrebird with its stunning tail feathers, and down in Tassie, a Tasmanian devil growls beneath Cradle Mountain. Finally, we'll go to my home country, Aotearoa, New Zealand. There's the kea, the world's only alpine parrot, with its fiery underwing, and it's beneath our highest mountain, Aoraki, which is 5,000 feet taller than Australia's, by the way. A great spotted kiwi is under Nikau Palm, and in the north, our native pigeon, the kereru, is near flowering Pohutukawa. And that little Chatham Island robin there, it was so close to extinction that in the 80s, they were down to 5 individuals, including one breeding female named Old Blue. But there are several hundred robins today. So New Zealand's not done. The ocean is still to come. There'll be penguins and whales, but this is where it's at for now. And that's where the whole map is at for now. All continents drawn, but Antarctica and the ocean underway, although there's no ocean in this photo. So I want to just finish up by going to China for a moment, because it's a really interesting part of the map. It's such a beautiful place. The karst landscapes of the south are mind-blowing. The rainbow hills of Songyi towards the Gobi, and such wonderful animals, giant panda, clouded leopard, golden snub-nosed monkey. And the absence of humans in the map is notable in a place like China. Now, there are less than 2,000 giant pandas left in the wild, alongside 1.4 billion people. The great sturgeon of the Yangtze is almost extinct, while China has over 5 billion chickens. The degree to which we've changed the ecology of Earth is staggering. And so the map definitely has an idealistic tone for, in reality, cities, industry, people dominate Eastern China and much of the world. Much of the world. I mean, Europe has almost 800 million people, and most of its wilderness was tamed long ago. But the only hint of civilization here is the animals I didn't draw, like the aurochs, now just painted on the caves of Lascaux. Over in Brazil, most of its Atlantic forests are gone, and many animals are critically endangered. But on this map, Rio's Sugarloaf Mountain is dominated not by a statue of Christ, but a golden lion tamarin. There are so many places on this map where the human impact is overwhelming, but the world is still wild. You can find it on every continent and across the islands to the sea, from the Amazon rainforest all the way to the heart of Europe, where the Alps and Carpathians are strongholds of a wild world. But still, even on this map, our impact is present. The Anthropocene is knocking. I mean, I might not be drawing cities, but the dried up bed of the Aral Sea is there. I didn't draw the Amazon burning, but I drew its current extent, and that is changing rapidly. Some of the animals I've drawn are shockingly rare. I mean, the Saharan cheetah, desert crocodile, African wild dog, addax, all on the brink. The scimitar oryx went extinct in the wild 20 years ago, but it was reintroduced successfully. So here it is in Chad, a glimpse of hope. But still, some animals on this map may soon be no more real than the aurochs in Lascaux. And maybe that's what this map is about anyway. It's a wild timestamp from this era. And it does present things in an idealized way. And I've wondered about this presentation of Earth as such a wild cornucopia, which it is, but it also isn't anymore. It's also shocking what we've done to nature. And we are nature. So outside of teaching about geography and animals, what is this map about? What does it show? Well, it's not really just for me to determine. It's what you see in it too. I'm just drawing it and seeing what happens, letting it unfold. But I've got a lot of ocean to draw, so I'm going to leave it there. And I just want to thank you very much for being with me today. Cheers.